I am Murray Siple. I'm a multidisciplinary artist living on Salt Spring Island, and this is my art studio. So yeah, I'm a multidisciplinary artist. It always feels weird to say that, but I started drawing as a kid and I didn't know where it was gonna go, and I ended up being more of a jock actually, played football, and then I got into snowboarding and skateboarding and realized I should probably develop the art skills that I had started as a kid, and I got into Emily Carr and took a foundation year, art history and life drawing and photography. And photography kind of revealed to me that it's new. Painting has been around for so long, since the dawn of time, but cinematography and photography is so new that there was like a lot of room to be creative and do stuff that nobody else had yet. So I kind of bid on that and went forward with experimental and documentary filmmaking. But it did give me a foundation of art history and drawing, and hanging out with other artists at the school that were sculptors and painters, graphic designers. And so I ended up becoming a documentary filmmaker, extreme sports filmmaker, and then I just found that maybe because I have a disability, it made it difficult to get further in the industry. I never really was successful at getting anybody in the Hollywood world to come on board with any of my projects. So I felt time was wasting, and I went back to drawing and painting so I could express myself and tell a lot of stories quickly without having a huge budget and hundreds of people helping. I can just come in the studio and work by myself. Painting and sculpture allows me to immediately express my ideas, so it's a faster medium to work in than the long drawn-out production of filmmaking, which starts with emails and grants, and by the time you're actually on a set filmmaking, you spent a year to get there. So I just love coming in my studio and creating on a daily basis. I did make a movie called Carts of Darkness, a documentary film for the National Film Board of Canada in 2008.
I need something. I crave speed in my life. I need to bomb a steep hill, escape an avalanche. Once upon a time, I made snowboard films, and my life was pure adrenaline. I thought it would last forever. Now, the mountains that surround me are nothing but beautiful obstacles. I'm living in a world of flat sidewalks and power doorways, and haven't made a film in 10 years. Recently, I discovered a group of outsiders living in my neighborhood making these hills their own. No one else seems to see them. It's time for my camera to lead me into a new world.
My name's Al. I will go down Mountain Highway, go streaming down. I will do 67 kilometers an hour.
These guys are gonna bomb Mountain Highway. Can't believe they're gonna do it.
I've seen a guy die today. I don't fucking need no shit from no one.
I want to go faster.
My brother's got a car full of empties at a crosswalk and gets smoked. He went 25 meters with a broken skull cap.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's not bad. I like that one.
That one, well, you only got you to maybe 55.
Let's do another one.
I am the cameraman of North Van. There ain't nothing I can't do.
It's a beautiful life.
But I was never able to leverage that film into something bigger. Although that was a very unique film to find a person relying on a wheelchair, myself, amongst a community of homeless bottle collectors riding shopping carts downhill in a rich neighborhood. It's just a very unique set of circumstances. I don't think I'll find that again, but I always have my eye out. Here locally, I thought I would make a film on people living on abandoned boats. So I started that project, but my camera got stolen and I just thought, I don't know if I want to get into this world. So it looked glorious, like the idea of people living on abandoned boats where they had their own community and they lit fires on the boat to stay warm. It just was cinematic and romantic and seemed so like a delicious little documentary to make. But it was actually just an upside down hell of chaos and violence, and I did not want to be in it. I then found a DJ that was a friend of mine from the 90s. He wiped out on a mountain bike and broke his neck at C6 and 7, same as me. And I jumped on the opportunity to film him getting back into the real world, I guess, and back on stage, and hoping that I could lend him my experience of 27 years in a wheelchair, traveling and whatnot. But people take their own path, and he didn't necessarily want my advice. So I did follow him to Base Coast and a couple other things, but recently the film's kind of fallen apart. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with that footage right now, but I have like 3 years of following Matt the Alien around. I think I have a film in there, but right now it's on the shelf. I wouldn't consider it a job because it's completely unreliable for income. Last year I sold about 13 paintings and this year I sold 3. And I thought this year I'd sell more because, you know, I've increased my reputation out there, and somehow I did. 2024 was like the worst year. I got no grants, no gallery shows, and 3 sales. So it's not a job. It's something that keeps me and my mind occupied and allows me to tell stories in the way that I want to. And whether people get it or not is not my objective. And sales are not my objective either. It's a physical expression and it allows me to move. I actually don't know how to paint. I don't know how to mix colors. I don't know any of the rules. I don't use easels. So I just kind of come in here and figure it out myself. I love painting on wood panels. Apparently there's a reason people paint on canvas, but I don't really understand that reason. It's got something to do with the texture and the way the brush bounces on the canvas. I don't care. I just use spray paint, house paint, and gold leaf because I like the contrast of using gold leaf with a modern thing like spray paint. And I kind of work on it sculpturally. I try and build my paintings. Some paintings I put away for a year and bring them back out, put them away for another year, and just keep building on them. And I've been taught from Emily Carr and following artists that are expressionists that mistakes are fine. Like, you need to make mistakes. So I start with mistakes. I try and wreck the canvas right off the bat. So there's no straight lines, there's no perfect colors. There's drips, there's lines that you can see from the under drawings. They need to be seen in the future to give an identity to the painting. So my style is based on not really caring about being perfect and making as many mistakes as you can. In my work, there's a lot of references to Virgin of Guadalupe. I started painting in Mexico in 2017. One of the first images I did was inspired by having seen this Virgin of Guadalupe figure everywhere, on the streets, in the alleys, on buildings and books and coffee mugs and everything. You know, I just kept seeing it, and I was drawn to it not for the religious symbolism, but because she was wearing a hoodie, and having come from a skateboarding and snowboarding background, I just wanted to draw that hoodie, so I removed her. But in the end, I kind of feel like it turned out to be more of a ghost, and I feel like I'm kind of the ghost, because as a person with a disability, you are involved with people and the world, but at the same time, you can't access the whole thing. So I'm a bit of a Casper the Ghost. Like, I can hang out with the family, but I can't pick up the coffee mug or go to sleep, you know. I feel if I hang out with able bodies, they're all like, oh, hey, great, love what you do. And then they go on a boat, or they go climb Mount Maxwell, or they go with their family and do stuff. And if you put a stair in front of me, I can't go there. So I feel like I'm a ghost in a way. I'm always hunting through the markets for like witch stuff. I know it's not really witch stuff, but they have a lot of stuff for graves and things like that, and to honor the dead. And I always like look through it to see what I could source for sculptures or things I can do at home. And I found Virgin of Guadalupe figurine. I brought home one figurine, carved her out, and then had it made into bronze multiples. And it turned out really, really beautiful. It was really satisfying to scratch out the religion. Well, as a kid, I played with Fisher-Price toys and Lego toys a lot, and you know, they're kind of like a primary color plasticky toy, and I was fascinated by that stuff. And one day my dad came home and I saw him in the driveway with a big yellow jerry can, and I didn't know what it was. It looked like a big Fisher-Price toy, but when I learned it was full of gas and that he could light fires and start the snowmobile and that kind of thing with it, I was just fascinated with that object. And I'd put that memory away for a long time until I moved to Salt Spring. It's usually the trees, the sunset, the rocks, the waves on the rocks, the heron, you know, the typical things. And I think that there's more immediate things that need to be spoken about. At the gas station, there was 30 jerry cans in the sunshine, and they looked like, it looked organic. It looked like berries or the center of a flower or something. So that's kind of what Salt Spring really is, the boating community and the people living rurally and having to use gas to live, for generators and that kind of thing. I wanted to incorporate it in my work. And I also like the idea of, you know, in 100 years when possibly there isn't jerry cans anymore, someone's kid goes, what is that? And points at the painting or the sculpture. And someone may have to Google it to find out what that item was. It's funny on this island because people feel that they're isolated and they're They've latched onto a aesthetic that was brewed by hippies, and it's not that way anymore. And I appreciate that vision, but you know, we're serviced by 3 ferries. Everybody has a phone. It's not the isolated little community that it once was. And the world's changed. Prices have changed. Fuel's changed. There's just so much. The weather's a disaster. It's getting worse and worse. Yet people still want to hide in the 70s. So I don't know, maybe they have to find a smaller island further away, but this island's done. It's time for a new vision here, and it's developing, but it's not there yet. And I'm relying on a wheelchair. This is not a wheelchair accessible island. I can't even get to the post office. So there's that too. I might be critical of it from a very limited viewpoint. The Salt Spring show was with John Sayer. The environment, urban Ganges, drugs and spirituality. So again, I just want to draw on what other artists aren't seeing. You know, it's a lot referred back to skateboarding and snowboarding, you know, like you take what's been done and try and make something new with it. So I'm proud to come on board here and try and push that kind of stuff. Like try and push being an artist that doesn't know what they're doing, yet going forward strongly. You know, I think that's that rebellious part, that outsider mentality is really what art is. Otherwise, you're more of a craftsperson. By not knowing what I'm doing and combining multi-mediums on it, it creates its own stuff. A lot of stuff that I paint surprises me because I had the composition in mind and the images, but I didn't have the result in mind. It kind of forms as you do it. But if someone was to look at it and, you know, take something away from it, I truly hope that they realize the person that did it with, you know, limited hand mobility and from a wheelchair. So I think some people might miss that or might be shocked at it or might be like, oh yeah, that's totally done by a disabled person. Look at how bad it is. One of the two.